This is Judge Adams. I'm on the.
Right, I can call the meeting to order.
Yep.
Have a
So
gavel.
5:04, we're calling the meeting to order. And I'm going to take a quick roll call of our board members only, okay? So if you could just say here so I can mark you down. Chairman Luderman. Here.
Here.
Dr. Caprioli. If everyone else can mute themselves, that'd be great. Dr. Caprioli. I will come back to Dr. Caruso. I heard you before. Dr. Caruso. All right, we'll come back.
Here. I'm here.
I got you, Dr. Caruso. Dr. Caprioli. All right. Dr. Claudia.
Here.
Dr. Gallo. Miss Reed. Linda Reed.
Here.
Gotcha, okay. Steve Cohn.
Here.
Jason Abeloff.
Here.
Soraya Campbell.
Yeah.
Jan Figuera.
Here.
Hi, Jan. Ed Farberboom.
Here.
Ajit Abraham. Ajit Abraham. We'll come back to you.
Meg, you
Is
muted everybody.
Is there, go on like we always do. Ajit Abraham. We'll come back. Lisa Daniels.
Here.
Okay. Frank Saraceno. John Sardellis.
It is coming in.
Oh, I think we're having Ajit, it's joining. We're just gonna, wait 1 second. Board members, Jason Allo.
Ajit is there.
I mean, I think I would have.
Can you unmute him?
Ajit
Hello.
Abraham? Ajit?
Yeah, I just hear. Hello.
Okay,
Good evening.
it's duly noted. And we're going back to Dr. Caprioli. Thought I saw you. Dr. Caprioli? Dr. Just give me one second. We're just searching to see if he's on. We thought we saw his phone number. So you see?
Looking for.
We have a quorum to proceed.
Ron.
Dr. Caprioli, if you come, Russ's phone, iPhone, I think that's. I'll text him to see if he's on. I don't want to hold up
You
the.
still have a quorum.
Yeah, we still have a quorum to proceed, so I'm going to defer to the chairman. Want to read the note- do the notice?
Yeah, do you want to read it?
Okay, so since this is a special meeting, I'm just going to read the notice of the meeting. And
Wait, did we call Ann Kamen?
she's not on the board.
Well, I think that's the whole point of the meeting, right? We're already referring to someone as the chairman, there's litigation involving, like, we've already sort of decided the result of the meeting before we've had it.
I'd just like to read the notice of the meeting, which is the only purpose that we can discuss. So if you just let me go
Right,
forward,
I
and
just
then-
thought you missed Ann Kamen.
I do not have her as a seating board member. But if you let me read the notice, I'd like to read the notice. The purpose of this meeting, and this is a special meeting, so under our bylaws is the only purpose that can be discussed tonight. It's a determination of new mixed position in the matter of Ann Keeman versus Bruce Blakeman and others, Nassau County Index Number 603460 of 2022, pursuant to section 4.3 of the NHCC bylaws. No other business will be heard in this special meeting.
I just want you all to know that I am here. This is Ann.
Thank you.
May I proceed since I sent the email requesting the meeting, please?
I'm sorry, who's that
Lisa
speaking?
Daniels.
Yes. Okay, I'll defer to the-
Sure.
Thank you. So I'm Lisa Daniels, and I'm glad to meet those of my fellow board members who I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet. I look forward to working with all of you. Mr. Abelov, Ms. Campbell, Mr. Farbenblum, and I requested this special meeting because a lawsuit was filed by Ms. Kamen on Friday, a few days ago, against County Executive Blakeman, Nassau County, Nassau Healthcare Corporation, and Mr. Bruderman regarding who has the legal right to the director seat that Mr. Zeisman had previously occupied. And the law firm of Abrams Fensterman was purportedly retained by Nassau Healthcare Corporation, and they submitted a letter to the court late Friday asking to be heard by the court before any of Ms. Kamen's requested immediate relief would be granted. It's expected that the court will conduct a conference early this coming week, and in as much as Abrams Fensterman is representing the corporation, we felt that this board should determine what, if any, position our attorneys would be taking on behalf of the corporation. So it is our position amongst the four of us who requested this meeting that the corporation should, of course, honor any determination the court makes with regard to who is properly seated in that seat, should implore upon the court that a quick resolution is what's best for the hospital, but that the corporation should not take sides in this litigation, and our attorneys should remain neutral and just report back to us as the litigation progresses. And that is why we requested this meeting. Thank you for listening.
Hey, Chairman. First,
Yes,
let
sir.
me welcome you to the board. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And hope your dedication and love for the hospital prevail, and welcome you.
Thank you.
I think looking at what Ms. Daniel just said, what is the best interest of the hospital and what is important? Yes, discussion is important. So certain things while we are in the court, I think it's required for the best interest of the hospital. I like to make a motion to go into the executive session for the purpose of discussion pending litigations. And I also like to make a motion in the same, can I make the second motion also?
I don't see
Well,
one.
let's go to the executive session. That's my motion on the table. My second motion is we should allow the county attorney representative to be in that meeting.
All right.
Yeah, I think before we hear that, I think though that being that Ann Kamen and Bruderman are the core of the dispute, those executive sessions should not include Mr. Bruderman or Ms. Kamen or anyone not on the board.
In addition to that, I would say that there was a new executive committee sent out about 10 minutes before this meeting, which included Mr. Bruderman, and that I believe Mr. Bruderman appointed. And since we don't know who's going to win the litigation, I don't believe that that's a viable executive committee at this point.
Wait, that's your position is that you're taking a position that he's not the chairman of the board? Is
My
that what you're doing
position
as
is
an
that
attorney?
the litigation is going to
Right.
determine
So I
who
just
is.
wanna-
He's
I
the
just
chairman
wanna
of the,
interrupt. There's a motion on the table right now, so there is a.
Yeah, there's no
I don't know if there's a
well,
second.
why is a lawyer giving an opinion on that then? I don't understand her position.
Mrs. Jaisman.
My
There is a motion
position
on the
is
table.
that we don't know who is properly seated in that seat at this point.
I think for that best interest, there's a motion on the table. We must, I made the motion, and Linda, are you doing a second?
I am seconding that motion. Yes, Bobby, and I will second it right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, the motion is improper because it's not decided if he's on the board. That's the whole point.
I disagree with you. The motion is improper or not is right now.
Hold on, can
The
I-
motion is on the table and is seconded. And
There's a
if
conflict
there's
of
somebody have
interest.
discussion, they can have a discussion.
Who's voting?
There's a
Hold on.
conflict of interest.
If I may,
You the chairman?
I think this whole thing, first of all, is ridiculous and disgraceful. I think it's representative of everything I've heard about the board, the hospital, how people have behaved here. And I think the dire straits that the organization's in. I think this is unprofessional. I think it's really disgraceful. It's all about people's control It's not a fight about what's best for the hospital. We're talking about an argument here over who's duly authorized. And in that regard, as the chairman, not by my own words, because I didn't choose myself, but right now, I think there's enough basis here from a legal perspective that the hospital's general counsel, who is the hospital's general counsel, her position is that I'm the chairman. The hospital's attorneys believe that that was done in a lawful way. The county executive, represented by Arthur, the deputy executive, is here. And the county's attorney, on behalf of the county, have all said that I'm chairman. And again, I just want to point out that I didn't appoint myself. I'm not here for some great windfall. I'm here to help a messed up organization. And it just blows my mind that this is going on. And I'm hoping that this could be put to rest quickly, because frankly, you know, everything that I've dealt with so far to date, walking in the door, is very representative of the dysfunction of this hospital. And the people that are suffering are the management, the employees, and the people in the community that need good health care. And this whole thing, starting from Ms. Curran, who appointed 2 people walking out the door. And I'll point out, Ms. Curran didn't appoint those 2 people walking out the door because she had a file of 40 different qualified candidates. What would be the purpose of rushing before you leave to appoint 2 people? It's only to control some power, to have power. It wasn't to make a motion to do something to save lives or to fix the hospital or get a new MRI. It was to control power, walking out the door to put a few bodies in there. There's no other reason that you urgently would do that. And then I'm sorry, but Ed, the former chairman, sent me an email the day that I was nominated by and appointed and accepted by, like, all those people, like I just said, the hospital's attorney, general counsel, the county executive, the deputy executive, and the county's counsel, all appointed me as chairman. I'm not being compensated. Frankly, I didn't want to be here. But the day I was appointed, again, not only this whole circus, which is an embarrassing spectacle, but on top of that, the day I came in, Ed, the former chairman, sent me an email telling me that he wanted to help with a smooth transition and that he looked forward to me coming on board and he wanted to help out. What did he do? I saw emails and texts that same day undermining my ability to come on, much less in a smooth transition, but at all. And then after that, I recently met with Ed, the former chairman, told him that I would like to work with him. I think that politics in a hospital and on this board is ridiculous. I think the way that people have been appointed is ridiculous. I think half the people on the board, frankly, are ridiculous. When you look at their backgrounds and why they're here and who they are, they don't belong. And so I met with Ed anyway and said, look, I want to come in here for a short period of time. I don't want to be chairman. I've spoken to the county executive and said, look, I want to come in as chairman for a year, affect a lot of change to help this place. And then I want to help appoint another chairman, because it is the county executive's ability to appoint a chairman. And so all I asked is that I would take my time to help fix this institution if I could have some say, or he'd accept my input in replacing me as soon as possible. And I sat down in good faith with Ed and said, look, that could be you or someone else on the board. And Ed said, yes, you have my support. I'm going to send out an email and everything else. 2 minutes after sending him a nice email, which I'll share with the board, saying that together we can fix this place, we got paperwork saying that people are filing TROs and doing everything else. Now, again, this is a public session. If we want to continue in that, we can have this discussion if you'd like. But I suggest, since we're talking about litigation, I think that it should be an executive session. But again, my position is I am the chairman. You're making certain motions, and half of you guys are lawyers, to undermine that, which is fine. You have a legal right to go ahead and do that. But until it's determined by a court, I am the chairman. According to the powers that be, the only powers that have a vote about that have made those decisions already. So if you want to sue or you want to take action to stop that, you can. But I'm going to say this. Before, I want to say one last thing. I didn't want to be here. I don't need to be here. I don't need fame and fortune. I don't need to do stuff for my pals. I've already uncovered tons of problems with this institution. Walking in the door, I asked for financials. We don't have financials back to November. Everybody on the board should have a problem with that. How do we not have trailing 12 months numbers? I asked if we had budget versus actual for last year. There's nothing. There's no budget for 2022. You can't even get numbers out of here. You're talking about numbers that are 6 months old. How are you going to hit a target that you can't see? That's the responsibility of this board. Everyone took a fiduciary oath to protect this organization and the people that it represents.
All right,
And no
thank
one's
you.
doing
Mr.
that.
Berman, Mr.
I'm not
Berman, now we're
finished
so
yet.
far
I'm not
afield.
finished. You can
We're
have
so
the-
far afield
you-
of the
hold on,
special
you
meeting
can
at this
have-
point.
Hey, you can have
We're
the
really
board.
very
You
far
can speak.
afield of the special.
You can speak when I'm finished, okay? You can have the floor all you want, but I am here to protect this institution and to protect the stakeholders. This community cannot lose this hospital and it can't lose the jobs. This community needs the jobs as much as it needs the healthcare. And everyone up until date hasn't been able to do that. And I'm not going to walk away from this community or the employees or the unions or anyone else because this is a dysfunctional mess. And this whole thing is more circus, just representative of why this hospital is all screwed up. So this institution needs a CFO, probably a new COO, which I'll put out there right out of the gate. And the way the whole organization works with the CEO, poor Dr. Booten can't even put in his own COO or his own CFO. That's screwed up. The whole thing is a mess. And again, this is like a total bunch of nonsense. You should all be embarrassed. And I'm opening up the floor now to you, sir, to go ahead and speak.
Thank you, Mr. Bruderman. I do agree with you that the politics is really gotten to the point of absurdity, but certainly to the point that there's litigation that involves you and your name is in it. We all took an oath. Every one of us took an oath that to the extent we were personally involved or had a potential conflict, that we would recuse ourselves from those votes and those meetings. And that applies to you. That applies to you the same as it does to everyone else. And I mean, I read the motion papers. I don't think it's frivolous. I think that the state of New York set certain board terms that can't be changed by county executives or legislatures or Miss Ryan or anybody
You said
else.
a good point. The legislature.
Wait a second. I heard you out. I let you filibuster on budgets. Right now, it's my turn.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So those are set by law. So there is a legitimate challenge to whether or not there was an open seat for your appointment, right? We're all here. None of us are here for fame or fortune. None of us are making any money, right? We're all here to help this public trust. I understand that. But the state of New York decided when certain seats were available, and no one gets the right to override the state legislation on that. Not you or anyone else. So the fact that there's a legitimate challenge in court and we have counsel, the only point of this meeting, as I see it, is to have counsel report back on what the judge says in the conferences and take no position. And basically whatever the court rules, the statute says in terms of the seats, the court rules. But I don't know how you can preside over a meeting that involves the legality of your seat. I think that violates every single principle of conflict of interest that we know of. And if you want to, as you profess, cut the politics and stop the circus, then you should let this meeting happen without your participation at a minimum. Thank you.
All right, just to respond
I'd
to
like,
that.
I'd like to
I just-
speak.
Well, if I could just respond to, this gentleman's point. The point is that this institution is in a dire situation. It needs people to act. So right now, this dysfunctional board that I walked into and I didn't create, I walked into at the request of the county executive who gets to appoint the chairman. Certainly everyone understands if we're not playing games that he could put me in a different seat and still make me chairman, which he would do. So all we're doing is playing with time and money of the hospital while people are sitting by and suffering and people are scared about their jobs. So we have to undertake the business of the hospital. And if you're a lawyer, which it sounds like you maybe are, the institution itself, the general counsel who we rely on as a board, the county executive who appoints the chairman, and everyone else, the lawyer for the county, they've made the decision. And I think what you're seeing, I think incorrectly, is that certain people have, Ms. Daniels or whomever, have taken certain actions, not only a TRO and other legal things that they're running into the court on Monday to try to address. Hopefully you'll get an answer really quickly. But in the meantime, the institution has to function. And I believe the position of everyone related to it has made the determination that I'm chairman, and someone has to be. It's not Ed anymore. So now what are we going to do? Run around in circles. So my position is, the county's position is, the general counsel position is, and the lawyers for the hospital are that I'm chairman, and we have to undertake business. Someone has to be chairman. And again, I would be chairman in a different seat. The argument is just about a seat on the board, not as much as the chairmanship. And again, pointing out that if we're not playing games, I'd be chairman no matter what. So what I think we should do is conduct the business of the hospital, let the courts decide tomorrow or whenever as to what seat was valid or not. And if the courts overturn it, I suspect Executive Blakeman will probably appoint me to another seat. I'll be chairman again, and then we can stop screwing around. So again, to
Mr.
me,
Bruderman, just to
the
correct you,
company-
if I may, I didn't file any motions in court. My seat is not in question. I'm not this is Lisa Daniels. I don't know what you mean about running into court on Monday. My seat wasn't the issue. I called this meeting. Second of all, I don't think anybody's questioning that County Executive Blakeman can appoint the chairman. That's not, I know that's the issue we want to focus on, but that's not the issue. The issue is, are you properly seated in a seat and then you became chairman? He could make Ms. Reed chairman tomorrow. That nobody would have questioned that. She was properly seated in a seat. But the question is, were you in a seat that was open? That's the question, and only a court's going to decide that.
That's
So
not
that's
going
really
to
the
stop
problem.
anything. Go ahead. Yeah.
Chairman, may I?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
But that's-
Council? Yes. Because since I made the motion, I want to make sure I take both permissions before I speak. I just want the board and public to understand a very simple issue here, which Lisa Daniel just had brought it up. I'm a serving board member here. Not necessarily I know everything, but I think I know enough to share some of the information which we are here questioning, and it should not be as smart as you guys are. And that is, it is a staggering board. There is a time for each board member, how long they can serve. So Mr. Von Geisman's appointment legitimately was not only once, but twice appointments. His term does not end till January something. And no county attorney, no county's executive, no other authority to appoint someone on that place of the board members. So the way it is, look, I had sent it in my previous email. I had a share with the former chairman. Once you are appointed, somebody can remove you. Unless you were removed, then somebody can have appointment. Since Mr. Von Geisman was very distinguishedly serving the board and his term did not expire till January 2022, former county executive have zero authority to appoint anyone else. These are the facts. We like it or not. We might disagree with each other's personality, but we have a fiduciary responsibility. Please look the dates. Do not talk and waste somebody's time or insult someone's appointments. If with that terms, since his term expired in January 2022, his means Mr. Von Geisman. New county executive Bruce Blakeman have absolute authority to make that appointment whoever he choose. In this case, he chose Mr. Matthew Bruderman. That's the county executive's choice. We, as a board member, have a zero authority to question anyone's appointment. So let's be respectful. The motion is on the table. We must go to executive session.
Excuse me, Chairman, if I may just say something?
Yeah, yes, please.
Thank you. I think at this point, we really need to take a position as a corporation, basically because Ann Cayman did sue the corporation.
Talk about a conflict.
I mean, I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah.
Well,
You know,
it sounds
regardless of
like,
that, we must still go to the executive session. It's very important. And Mr. Bond Judgment, I appreciate your service, what you had done. And Chairman, can you speak a second?
Sure.
yeah, and just in response to what Linda just shared, it was just stated by the chairman that Megan Ryan, the board attorney and general counsel, has already taken a position on this. The corporation has a position.
Yes.
Okay. And the position is consistent with law. There is no, contrary to Jason's statements of
Are we
legitimization,
allowing open comment at this meeting?
which
Are we
he,
allowing open comment at this meeting?
can you stop
Warren, I'd like
interrupting
you
me?
to
I was
know-
invited to the meeting.
Excuse
Can
me,
you
the
stop
chairman
interrupting me?
allowed, Mr. Farben, the chairman allowed Mr. Zeisman to speak. The chairman just allowed it.
Please don't interrupt me again, please. I didn't interrupt anybody else. I heard words of legitimization used by Jason. That's a lie. He has no knowledge of what's legitimate or what's not. He's never even spoken to me. Okay. So for you to take certain affirmative positions on this is completely political and not consistent with law. You want to be a politician, be a politician. This is not the place to do it. Okay. The law and the term is very, very clear. Okay. Very, very clear. And I'm here to state very clearly that Mr. Bruderman is the chairman of the board. He has taken the seat that I was once in, and my term did not expire until 2022. Okay. And you can look at all the information. It's factual. Okay. Just filing a litigation, Jason, is not a basis to disallow somebody who's properly and legally appointed to this board and serving. Okay. So if you want litigation to play out, let litigation play out. Okay. That is the position that's fair. But at this juncture, no board member, all right, just as Dr. Kaladi shared, no board member has authority to appoint or unappoint another board member. It is only the appointing authority that has that responsibility. Okay, if you have an issue, you can raise it to the appointing authority. It's in the bylaws.
That's correct.
Some of the people who are talking here sound to be lawyers. I suggest you actually read the bylaws if you're going to serve on this board, so you know the procedure. The procedure is not a meeting. Okay, and a proceeding is not a meeting where you make a statement asking someone to exclude themselves. Anybody can challenge anybody in any legal action they want in court in anybody's seat. Does that mean you don't get to participate? Absolutely not. And there's nothing unethical about his participation. And any statements to that effect are absolutely insulting to every board member here, because anybody can undermine any one of your seats based on your statement at any given time and exclude you, which is not proper and should not be done. Okay, so let Mr. Bruderman have a warm welcome. Sounds like he's hit the ground running. He comes with tremendous background, expertise, things that many people who have been appointed to this board under the past administration did not have. They were all former politicians or people with political aspirations. Okay, finally, we have somebody who's competent and ready to hit the ground running. Please stop obstructing this board, obstructing this hospital. Let the business continue, okay? And let Mr. Bruderman bring us in the right direction moving forward. Do not overstep your authority as a board member. You have no ability to appoint, unappoint, or take. You can take any position you like. You can say whatever you like, but don't make statements of legitimization on something that is a frivolous lawsuit and not consistent with fact or law.
Yeah, I don't agree that it's frivolous, having read the statute myself and looking.
Well,
at
you don't know the
laws.
facts
But again,
of the
that's
case,
for the
then.
court. My point is, if somebody was challenging my board seat, I wouldn't be allowed to vote in how the board was going to address that legal challenge. That's the conflict. That conflict exists. It's very plain.
You don't have the authority to challenge it.
Let me just, I'll wrap it up and then we're gonna go.
Feeling is that the lawsuit has no merit doesn't
Yeah, if
mean
you
it
can-
has no merit.
It doesn't have any merit.
Well,
It's-
that's your
this is-
opinion. I mean, I have a
It's
different
not,
opinion.
it's not even
Yeah.
a trial.
Yeah, if you could mute
Can we
them.
just
And-
All right. Can everyone
stick
hear
to the
me?
issue and not go on these tangents, please, ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen? Mr. Bruderman, hi, welcome.
Thank
You
you.
sound extremely upset. I understand everyone's frustration. I'm just gonna add my 2 cents and I will be quiet.
Please.
I have no opinion necessarily on who becomes chairman. I think whoever the county executive ultimately appoints is someone that is going to be qualified. I don't have any opinion as to your qualifications or not qualifications. I'm not going to do that. My only issue was if there is reason to question the validity of the appointment, then that's what needs to just be decided one way or the other. That's the only issue. It's not a
Right.
personal attack on you. It's not a personal attack on Ms. Kleiman. It's not a personal attack on anyone. But we
Agree,
have,
and
I
that's
do
that's
believe,
what's in the court. That's what has been brought to the court to decide, not
Right,
the
and
board
that-
members.
and
Right.
that, and we're not deciding. You're right.
Soraya,
Let the court-
Soraya,
Yes,
with,
Warren.
with all due respect, right?
Yes,
The appointing authority is the county executive. Let's just lay out the facts. The
okay,
county executive has appointed Mr.
Okay.
Bruderman both into the seat and the chairmanship. The county attorney has taken a position that the general counsel and board attorney of NUMIC has concurred and agrees with, okay? There is nothing for this board to argue in terms of his legitimacy. If somebody has an action pending in court and they want to overturn those decisions, right? They feel they have a basis,
deal
let
with
them
it.
try to do that.
Right
But
now,
it's not, it certainly is not, there is no disagreement here about who the chairman of the board is, because everything that was supposed to be properly done has been properly done.
but I think
and
that's what's
properly laid
in
out.
question. That's not
It's
accurate.
not in
Warren.
question.
That's
That's
why
not
it's
in
in
question.
litigation, is because it is being questioned whether
Well,
the
it's-
process was indeed legitimate. If it was legitimate, we wouldn't be here.
The
Because
hospital
no
is
one
not-
has a
the
personal
hospital-
problem with
Oh,
Mr.
we should,
Bruderman.
we should.
No,
Let me
it's my-
speak. All right, sorry. If I could just sort of take the floor here to wrap things up. Look, the bottom line is that anyone can argue in court, which people are, about whose seat is whose, and even the chairmanship. The chairmanship, though, as it relates to that seat, the chairmanship is only done by the county executive. I understand what people are saying about their concern that then my chairmanship's not good. But for the benefit of the community and the people in the hospital, and for the true lack of politics, I think the bottom line is this, is that the hospital's position and the powers that be, and according to, like we said, Executive Blakeman, I'm the chairman. And so we're going to move the board towards executive session because I'm chairman. We've had a motion. We're going to do that. I'm seconding it. And we're going to go to executive session. But
Sorry, seconded by Linda. Reed.
sorry, Linda.
I'm gonna vote on it.
You
All
are
right.
for a vote.
So I think we just suggest a vote. And then if we want to talk about legalities after, but the final thing I want to say before we do that is, again, this hospital is in need of help. My intention is to do that. I think that changes could be made here that are at the end of the day, net positive in employment. I want to see employment grow. We're going to bolt new things into the hospital. We're going to focus on things that we're good at. We're going to not do things that we're not good at. Again, we're going to instantly put in a CFO that has a budget for 2022 where we look at budget versus actual. We're going to look at our budget. We're going to look at our actual month, and we're going to look at that month last year. And we're going to look for big red numbers or big green numbers. And we're going to do more of the big green numbers and less of the big red numbers. This is something I've done many times. I have all the confidence in the world that we can fix this hospital together. I think if the board stops fighting and we just cooperate, everyone will get credit for what happens here in the next year. And again, I think everyone right now should really think about how much they want to be involved in undermining this whole thing, how much they really care about their political position and their personal power or whatever else. Because I'm telling you right now, I will be chairman and I'm not going to stop doing this. And the people that get in the hospital's way are going to be dealt with severely. And this is like total nonsense. again, it's all about a power grab. I think it was wrong for Curran to appoint 2 people walking out the door. And I think it's wrong for probably the same people that are associated with this board that are trying to have the state. By the way, just like Putin, like I said, it's like coming into Ukraine. People, Jason, you mentioned about, control and this and that and power and duly authorized. This corporation some 30 years ago was set up for deliberate separation of power. It was divided between the county, the state, and certain stakeholders on behalf of a safety net hospital to protect people who can't get health care elsewhere. And this like catty little nonsense infighting is terrible. I'm going to be chairman no matter what. And whether this seat that I'm sitting in now is mine or someone else's doesn't really matter. We'll fight that out in court, and I'll just be in a different seat or not. But frankly, I don't care. And frankly, I don't care if it's a Democrat or a Republican. I happen to maybe be possibly put in because of my relationship with Mr. Blakeman, but he chose someone who you can't argue has the qualifications and the deep concern for this community. I might be a Republican conservative, fiscal conservative, but anyone that knows me, I'm the most bleeding heart liberal, but with my own time and money. And again, already for a lot of people that are here, the qualifications and lack thereof, there's contracts between people that I don't think have been disclosed. I'm looking at everything. I'll tell you too, when I was coming on the board, I didn't want to come into a charitable organization, something that's civic minded in the community, and not make a donation coming in. So I wanted to know, how much should I be giving? What do other board members give? Do you know what I found? Do you guys want this in the newspaper? No one gave a dime in the last 2 years. If you did, put up your hand. But you know what? Okay. No one's given any significant dollars, okay, on the board. So I'm coming in saying, how much should I donate to our, and I don't care if it's $1. By the way, I am chairman, and when I'm chairman, every board member, I don't care if it's $1, every board member is giving to the foundation. And we're going to start focusing on this hospital and our employees and the community. And again, you guys want to go around in circles of people that are fighting my chairmanship? Go ahead. But I'm not the guy to be on the other side, because I'm not fighting for me. I'm fighting for these people and the employees and the community. And if you want to get on the other side of me, I'm going to mow you down. And I am the chairman. I'm going to be the chairman. And if you keep fighting that, I'm going to hold you accountable, because the people that are fighting the most seem to have the most bullshit, conflicts of interest. I'm going through the conflict of interest forms now. I'm seeing who knows who gave what. And this has got to stop. I'm not going to allow this monkey court to keep going in circles. You want to go ahead and file lawsuits and question a seat. It's a seat. Practically speaking, I'm chairman. And then on top of that, again, whoever's involved in this, we're going to find out, but trying to have the state reach in, take it from 15 to 21 so they have control is nothing but another like disgusting, embarrassing, horrible like land grab. This isn't like to save a life or to save 1 million jobs. This is to say that all of a sudden in an organization, think about this, an organization that was built for separation of power, right? This person gets to appoint a certain amount, the state appoints a certain amount, the county executive appoints the chairman. It was intentionally divided, right, among powers. Why? By the way, my family came here 150 years before it was a nation, and my 7th great grandfather fought in the Revolutionary War, and I have family members that died in the Civil War for the North, fighting to stop slavery, and I have grandparents that died in World War II. And I get really angry when I think about the state wanting to reach into an institution. If you go into a business transaction, for all the lawyers on there, you have operating agreements, bylaws, LLCs. That's what makes this a great nation, because you can't just come in and say, I don't like the deal. It's a document. It's under law, under God. And that's how our great nation was formed. And this is ridiculous. Everyone that's fighting over this should be embarrassed. You should think about why you're here and who you're serving, and stop wasting time and stop wasting money. Because those people that are going to continue to do that, I'm going to find ways to hold you accountable, because I'm not working for me. I'm working for the community.
Okay.
So
I just want the minutes to reflect all the
business
threats
of the
that are being thrown.
hospital and move on.
I've made one point. my only point is, I don't think that Mr. Bruderman should vote in a vote regarding the legitimacy of his own chairmanship.
We're
That's
not
all I've
voting on
said.
that.
And all
That's
I've heard
not
in
the vote.
response is how I'm going to
Jason,
be mowed
Jason,
down,
we gotta
how I'm
move
going to be
on.
held accountable,
Jason,
how you're
Jason,
going
we're
to
not
mow me
voting on
down. I
that.
heard you out.
Jason, we're not voting on whether or not I'm the
And the
chairman.
muting of me, well, you guys are live, and none of us were allowed to be present at that meeting, Miss Ryan. You made sure everyone else did this
You
by
closed-
Zoom,
wait, wait,
and
you
then
closed for-
and then
you
you're gonna mute us, right? When I heard him out, and all I've done now is be threatened because I'm having the temerity to say it's a conflict of interest for him to vote on his own on a lawsuit that he's involved in. I have to be threatened and told I'm going to be mowed down and held accountable.
Jason, that is not your decision whether he votes or
Hey,
not.
if you're going to harm the hospital, yes.
I'm not
you
here to
can
harm
go
the
down.
hospital. I'm
But
here to
no, I'm
obey
not
the
talking
law.
about. I didn't say I'm
here
mowing
to-
you down.
All I'm here is to obey
Listen,
the law.
here's the bottom line.
and say that
You're not
if you
voting
have
on
a
who's
conflict-
chairman. You're not voting on who's chairman. The board is not voting on who's chairman.
No, but
They're
the
not
board has
voting
a
on that.
lawyer, right? The board is
You
a
don't have
special
any right.
meeting.
County Executive Blakeman does. County Executive Blakeman appointed me, and
The-
it's not the vote.
The board
This
has
says here-
right here.
This is what we're talking about.
The
This
purpose
is the
of
only
the
legal
meeting.
thing we're talking about. Our position.
You're just going to filibuster. If you're just going to filibuster, the point of the special meeting is to what are we
This
going
is
to tell our
embarrassing.
lawyers?
I'm gonna.
Yes.
Jason,
That's
Jason,
Mr.
you're talking
Avalon.
like a politician.
Please
You're talking
stop.
about filibuster.
I
No, it's
know.
filibustering.
Yeah.
You're
I've
you're
heard
attempting to
everybody
obstruct the
out.
process. You
I'm
have
not-
No, not muting. Just let the person in. You have to mute. Not mute.
you have no authority to tell somebody whether they can vote or not.
Actually,
You can make a decision. You can make a decision
right.
for yourself whether you're
I
going to
have-
vote or not. But you can't
There's
make a
a
decision for any other
conflict of
board member
interest,
whether
and
they're
it's
going
my
to refuse or
it's
not.
my- It's
That
my
is their
duty to raise
decision.
it. It's my
Excuse
duty
me,
to-
excuse me. There's a
It's
not
motion.
your duty.
First of all, excuse me,
But I'm not
excuse me,
leaving.
excuse me. There's a motion on the table. I want to respond to Mr. Abelov. Nice to meet you finally. But
By the way, if we can move on, we'll all be happy. We should just put this to bed and we'll get along and we'll fix this hospital. That's the last thing I want to say.
I cannot call a meeting, and I did what I was told to do. I was requested to do as via Zoom. That's how it was noticed. I can't call a meeting in person or Zoom. I can only follow the board's wishes. Number two, there's a vote on the table right now. It was a motion was made. It was seconded by Ms. Reed. So there's a vote that needs to be called. So I'm going to call the vote right now. Chairman
But there is a
Bruderman,
point
yes
of
or no?
order with respect to
I'm
his
doing it right now.
participation.
There's a procedure.
And that
There's
has
a
to be addressed
procedure. It's
before
a
the
vote
vote.
to
Ms.
accept
Robinson.
The procedure,
There's a
continue.
motion for executive session on the table. We're violating open meetings laws right now. There's a motion that was made by Dr. Claudia, second by Ms. Reed. Mr. Chairman Bruderman, vote yes or no?
Yes.
Dr. Caprioli, yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you. Dr. Caruso, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Dr. Claudia,
Yes.
Ms. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Cohen. Mr. Cohen.
Yeah, I'm sorry. With all the screaming that was going on, I really did not hear what this
Sure.
vote is about.
Going to the executive session.
Executive session allowing the county representatives to enter
Yes.
executive session. A motion was made, seconded. Mr. Cohen, yes or no?
Yeah, yes.
Thank you. Mr. Abelov, yes or no?
No.
No. Ms. Campbell? Sorry, Ms. Campbell, do we? I'll return to you, Ms. Campbell. Ms. Figueroa, yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Farbenblum?
Ms. Campbell, you're on mute if you want to vote now.
I was going to go back to her. Mr. Farbenblum?
Yes.
Mr. Abraham?
Yes.
Ms. Daniels?
Yes.
And so I'm going back to Ms. Campbell. I think you're muted, Ms. Campbell.
Put it in the chat, Soraya, if you can't unmute.
You want to chat it? Yep, we can look it up.
See her.
We can record your, how you'd like to answer, but we're going to move into executive session. So right now, if you just give us a minute, Sassy's going to move everyone and we'll start executive session in about 1 minute. I'm going to mute everyone while we do so. Thank you so much. Okay, so now we're back in public. I just want to, sorry, I know, I just want to take a quick roll call of the board members, just to make sure we don't lose anyone. Chairman Bruderman's here, Dr. Caprioli. I see him. Dr. Caruso. Dr. Caruso.
Yeah,
I think he signed off.
No, I'm here.
He's
here.
here? Oh, okay, good.
All right, here, Jan. So I got Jan. I got Dr. Claudia here. Linda Reed.
Okay. I'll take the last vote. We're getting off the-
Jason Abalov.
Right now.
Present.
Yes, give me-
Soraya Campbell.
Present.
Yes,
Jan- I said Jan, I'm sorry, Ed Farbenbloom.
here.
I see you, Ajit Abraham.
We're gonna say go to the court.
Ajit, Lisa Daniels, I see you. And Steve, last name Steve Cohen.
Yeah, have
Steve
him on the
Cohen's on
phone.
the phone. He got disconnected. We're trying to get him, but he's on the phone right now. So, okay.
One
so
second.
everyone-
Steve, you're on, right? Okay. Yes, he said,
He's on speaker. All right. All right. So we're now back in public session.
So when we left, I was making a motion that we resolve that our council will take no position on the merits of who is properly seated in the seat during this litigation.
I'll second that.
So I'm sorry, who seconded that?
Jason Abel.
Jason, I'm sorry, Lisa Daniels made the motion, seconded by Jason Abalov. I'm going to do a roll.
I actually object to that motion.
Okay, we have any objections?
Yes.
Okay, Dr.
Yes,
Cardi,
I object. Dr. Caruso, I object.
we have two, why don't we take
Take the
the
vote.
vote? So Chairman Bruderman,
Object.
no. Dr. Caprioli,
Object.
hold on. Dr. Caruso,
I object.
One second.
okay, it's a no. Okay, Dr. Kaladi,
Object.
Linda Reed. Ms. Reed?
Object.
I can't hear
I
you.
object.
Object, okay. Steve Cohen?
Object.
Steve Cohen's objects, duly noted. Jason Abalov,
Yes.
a vote in favor. It's a yes. Ms. Campbell?
Yes.
That's a yes. Jan Figuera?
No,
No. Mr. Farbenbloom?
Yes.
Yes. Ajit Abraham?
Yes.
Yes. Lisa Daniels?
Yes.
Five. You have more than 5 no's already.
Okay, the motion fails.
Okay, I make a motion to meeting to be adjourned.
Motion, a second.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Have I also.